Sharia law is now valid in Austria. A court has ruled in a decision widely condemned by locals. In a landmark legal decision, the court ruled that a contract made between two businessmen using Sharia law is valid in the country. One of the parties had taken the case to the court, pointing out Sharia's arbitrary nature, often being subject to wildly differing interpretations by scholars, and its fundamental violation of Austrian law and its principles. But the court slapped the argument down, explicitly stating the Sharia agreement didn't contradict Austrian values, and ruled that Islamic legal provisions could, quote, be effectively agreed upon in an arbitration agreement. The decision prompted fury from the Conservative government. Claudia Placon, Minister for Europe, Integration and Family, said, "Sharia has nothing to do with Austria and the principles of our constitution, and it should remain that way. Therefore, we, as the federal government, decided back in May that the Ministry of Justice would develop proposals by the end of the year so that Sharia rules could no longer be applied in the future. Sharia rules do not belong in Austria." The ruling People's Party said this opens the door to even further political Islam. The ruling elevates parallel Islamic societies in Austria and weakens those forces that refuse to submit to Islam. This is the latest twist in Austria's checkered relationship with political Islam. The country was the first in Europe to recognise the religion with its 1912 Islam law. But changes to the law banning foreign funding for mosques led to a backlash from Muslims who said the state was spreading distrust of them. In 2017, the country banned the burqa. Parties on the right have been rising in Austria, fuelled by concern over immigration and Islamism. The right-wing Freedom Party won the last election, but Austria's president refused to allow his party to form a government. The party had promised a clampdown on immigration.
Das ist doch eine Selbstverständlichkeit, dass wir diejenigen, die hier kein Anrecht auf einen Schutz haben, dass wir diejenigen, die sich an unseren Frauen und unseren Mädchen vergreifen, dass wir diejenigen, die Menschen in diesem Land ermorden, dass wir die nicht noch verhätscheln und bei uns durchfüttern und dann unter einem Deckmantel der falschen Toleranz irgendwie über Jahre und Jahrzehnte bei uns im Land behalten. Nein, liebe Freunde, ein solches System schützt die Falschen. Ich möchte mit euch gemeinsam die Richtigen schützen, und das ist die eigene Bevölkerung. Und deshalb Remigration für all diejenigen, die glauben, sich nicht an unsere Regeln halten zu müssen.
The ruling People's Party has hardened its own stance in response, with Claudia Placon vowing to ban the hijab for children under 14.
Das Kopftuch ist ein Zeichen der Unterdrückung. Mädchen werden da in einer ganz entscheidenden Phase, wo sich die Persönlichkeit entwickelt, wo sich der Körper entwickelt, hinter dem Kopftuch versteckt. Und diese extremistischen Tendenzen, gerade bei Kindern, haben einfach an unseren Schulen nichts verloren.
Britain is seeing its own growing concern over the role of Sharia courts in its society.
Mohammed is the most popular baby name in Britain for the second year in a row. I'd like to congratulate Mohammed on doing the double. It's back-to-back victory for Mohammed. There's been a 23% rise in the number of little baby Mohammeds in the last year. The name Keir, by the way, has died out. So the name Keir has completely died out. I can't help but note there's some kind of tragic irony there, as Sir Keir Starmer's Labour Party appears to have entirely lost the Muslim vote. But there's a moving graph here that illustrates the rise of Mohammed. So I think we can have a look at this now. So if we start in 1996, we've got a lot of Jacks, a lot of Joshuas, Thomas, Samuel's doing pretty well. Jack starts pulling away as we enter the 2000s. He's way out on top, actually, as we hurtle towards 2008. Watch out, Jack. Watch out, though, because in comes Oliver. Look at him go. Look at him go. Oliver and Harry, they're duking it out. But look at what happens when we get to around 2016. So something interesting. Oh, there we go. In steams Mohammed. And there's no stopping him. Up, up, up he goes. Mohammed's on the march. He's biffed Arthur. He's biffed George. He's biffed Oliver. There was only ever going to be one winner there. It's Mohammed. And look at him go. Up he goes, up, 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 up. And, well, he's managed to actually climb above. It's him and Noah. There's a biblical battle taking place here. And, yep, there he is, out on top. But he's not just won. He's won by a landslide. He's now out in front with 5,721 new babies. So there we are. But on a slightly more serious point, I do think that this speaks to a wider point about rapid demographic change in Britain. In Small Heath, Birmingham, 85.9% of the population identify as Muslim. Parts of Leicester, 75% Muslim. Parts of Bradford, like a place called Toller, there are 80% of people there who say they are Muslim. In the UK, Muslim women have a higher average number of children compared to non-Muslim women. So research by the Pew Research Centre reports that the fertility rate around UK Muslims is around 3. So you have 3, while non-Muslims is about 1.8. And in fact, for what it's worth, white mothers have just 1.44 babies in their lifetime, apparently. The Muslim population could be 5.6 million by 2030, and Muslims could make up 17.2% of the British population by 2050. And isn't it astonishing to think that in just 25 years' time, 17.2% of the British population could be Muslim? This will largely be due to immigration, obviously, both legal and illegal. But there's an interesting quote that emerges here if you Google AI about benefits data by religious groups in Britain. So this is what it tells you. I've taken this quote directly from Google AI. It says, data suggests that a higher proportion of Muslims and other religious groups are affected by poverty and receive income-related benefits. This is partly due to higher unemployment rates within the Muslim community and a greater likelihood of living in deprived areas. Now, look, this won't be the case for everyone, of course, but I can't help but wonder whether, if you're already in receipt of benefits and unemployed, then maybe you are less likely to stop and think about whether you can afford to have children before you do actually have them. Nobody can deny that there is a huge cultural change taking place in the UK, and it's going to continue. There are certain benefits to multiculturalism and to all of that, but not all cultural change is good. So Britain has more Sharia courts than any other Western country. A job advert for a Sharia law administrator was listed on the government's website. It's now been deleted. We've recently had debates in Parliament about cousin marriage, first cousin marriage. We have specialist inbreeding nurses to deal with the medical problems that can cause. We have specialist clinics now for female genital mutilation. Forced marriages are a problem, with many people being taken abroad to places like Pakistan to be wedded off, and sometimes to someone that they've never even met. Look, Muslims and multiculturalism can bring a lot to our society. Of course, the huge numbers of them work in our public services and all around the country. But like I said, not all cultural change is necessarily good, is it? The baby name list reveals a lot more about Britain than just baby names, doesn't it? And I have a feeling that Mohammed will probably top that list every year from now until the end of time.